Alright, so what's going on, everybody? I am back again with the Fiero GT. This is going to be part 3. So if you like what I did in part 1 and part 2, make sure you pay attention and when the new parts drop. Today we're going to be changing the oil and changing the transmission fluid, which in this case is kind of an interesting fluid, so we'll check it out. This car, in the last step, I did wash it, and it looks like a lot of that oxidation really didn't come off. I mean, it might have just been masked by it being wet. I mean, the hood definitely looks better than it used to. Our front bumper is actually in pretty decent shape. I mean, it has sat for like 2 weeks since I did the video, so I really hope it starts. Yeah, we just got, I mean, it's rained a bunch of times here. I got some bird crap, so that was just a preliminary wash just to get most of the mold and gunk off. I'll have to wash it again, obviously. So it's looking better than it did before, and I'm gonna grab the keys and pop the trunk open. Okay, so the other week I did buy some new stuff. We got our, well, that's actually the old oil filter, but unfortunately at the store all I could find is the Fram. I know people say don't use Frams or anything, they're really crappy, but you know what, that's the only one I could find. I wanted to buy the AC Delco, but no place seemed to have it. I mean, these cars are getting more uncommon, and I had to order the air filter online because just about nobody had it. It's a really weird size. However, I'm not going to put the air filter in today. We're just going to do the engine oil flush, check some fluids, and do the transmission fluid. So here's the oil we'll be using. This Fiero takes 5W30, I believe, like 4 1/4 quarts, but I'll have to look that up. This I just had sitting around from a previous car that I never used, so we'll just use it. Not too worried about that right now. And interesting thing, probably asking, why do we have more conventional 5W30? Well, in this case, this Fiero has a manual transmission, and they actually use 5W30 conventional motor oil from the factory. Now, this is long since been amended by GM, but originally it would have just had this stuff. Well, not STP, but probably AC Delco. Anyway, nowadays they recommend to use Synchromesh. However, that's synthetic, and this thing I believe has a leak, so I don't feel comfortable using synthetic. Again, this will do just fine for what we need it to do. Also got new wiper blades. Gonna have to paint the wiper arms anyway at some point, but I'll do like a restoration parts video. So I'm missing half of the oil cap. I might just replace this with a generic replacement, but I think it would look better with the factory replacement. They're about 15 bucks on the FieroStore.com. So I'm gonna start the car up for a few minutes, let it warm up, and then start draining the let the oil warm up for a little bit, and then I'll jack the car up and start draining the engine. Okay, let's see if this will turn on. Pushing the clutch. We do have clutch. Oh wow, no lights at all. Wow, that battery is super dead. Oh great. Okay, so I'm gonna have to grab a battery charger and jump it, because probably not gonna have enough time to actually start it and run it. I'll probably just have to drain it as is, but I would like to get it charged. Boy. Connections are fine. Just gonna have to jump it. Okay, so I have the battery charger hooked up. unfortunately, I tried it even on like the start mode. There's not enough power to really crank it over. The lights will turn on inside, so it is getting some power. So I'm just gonna have to leave this on 12-volt charge for a little bit. Guess I'm just gonna have to drain this oil without really heating it up or anything, and so hopefully most of it comes out. I'm sure it will. All right, so I'm here underneath the back of the car. This is a lot rustier than I remember, and ooh, that exhaust is not looking good. Oh boy. Oh boy. Alright, so there's our oil drain plug in. Oh wow. Maybe that was the oil from the motor that was dripping on the ground. Really thought it was the transmission. Let me see if I can get it. I got some cardboard action underneath here. Let's see if we can. Okay, there's the transmission drain plug. And as I'm sure you can see, it's very greasy on there. So something is 100% leaking around here somewhere, and I don't think I've ever put a new crush washer or gasket here, and I don't have another one, so I'm just gonna have to leave that. Now I really don't even think I need to jack up the car to access this stuff. I'm just kind of sliding underneath the back. I don't think I'm gonna jack it up, honestly. But oh, this muffler has a huge friggin' hole in it. That's why it's so loud. Now, this engine is pretty much mostly found in a Chevy Celebrity or Pontiac 6000. So essentially it's a 2.8 liter 90 degree V6. I think it's called the L44. Well, it's only found in the Fiero and those two other cars. So essentially this is from a front wheel drive car. That's why it fits in here so perfectly. That's why they didn't put it in here in the regular, you know, mid-engine orientation with it, you know, kind of like this, you know, like it was flipped, because they already had this platform and trannies that would fit it, so they just dropped it in transversely. Kind of a weird setup, but that's what they did. So all right, I'm gonna see if I can just get a drain pan underneath there and stuff. Okay, so I realized that I actually couldn't access the oil filter, so I had to jack it up just a little bit. I'm just putting a jack underneath there. I mean, I should put a jack stand, but I'm not going to do it. I mean, I'm really not going to be underneath the car for long or hardly at all. This car is super light, only weighs like 2,700 pounds. So I'm just going to kick that underneath there, get the wrench, and get this. Alright, so I let the jack down a little bit. I got it draining here. We'll give it a couple more minutes. I just loosened it with a 9/16 wrench. That's all it takes. The transmission drain plug is not 9/16, so I got to figure out what it is. And right now I'm gonna go look up and see exactly how much oil and transmission fluid I need to put back in here. Okay, so this is all the material that came with the car. This has got the wheel lock nut, wrench, some warranty information, I think, like service records. Here's the regular owner's manual. This is the Chilton manual, pretty much tells you everything you need to know. And then this, I have no idea what this is. Do it yourself. Well, interesting. So that's just kind of like telling you kind of how to service your car. I'm gonna look through these real quick, see if I can find the oil measurements. I am in the garage underneath this work light, because it's like 85 degrees out there and I'm friggin' hot. So I'll be back when I find the information. And if you guys don't believe me about this thing using 5W30 conventional oil for transmission fluid, it says right here, manual transmission level seldom needs to be checked. Use only SAE 5W30. Interesting. Now this doesn't tell me exactly how much I need, it just tells me how to check it. But I'm not going to be checking it because I know fluid's leaked out. I'm just going to drain it all and put new stuff in. So I'm still trying to find exactly how much goes in there. This is the do-it-yourself manual. So okay, and in the specifications page of the service manual, it's probably hard, the camera's not really focusing, but right here is saying the oil capacity for engine code 9, which means V6, is 4 quarts right there. 3.8 liters or 4 quarts. Down here, the 5-speed manual transmission says it needs 2.5 liters or 5.3 quarts, which converted is, you can't really see that, but 2.5 liters is actually 2.64 quarts. So we need basically a little bit over 2.5 quarts in the transmission or transaxle. So I'm gonna try and drain the transaxle. Okay, so I have an interesting find here. So the manual said something about pulling out some inspection thing where the speedometer sensor or gear goes in and reading between two letters to see if the transaxle is full, but this thing has a dipstick. I just pulled it out. I've never checked this before, but I mean, I don't know exactly how to read this. I'm assuming those levels are indicating low, medium, and full. But yeah, so it actually looked like it was almost full, well, to the low level. So either way, I'm gonna drain it, put new stuff in, and clean this thing up. And how about that? I cleaned up the little gasket thing by the plug, and it says right there 5W30 only. Okay, so the transaxle fluid is basically done draining. We have a decent amount in here. It's still kind of dripping a little bit. And in the meanwhile, I don't know where I put it. Oh, there it is. In the meanwhile, cleaned up our drain plug with a little wire brush. And this is not a new gasket. I tried to get the gasket as clean as possible, and it's ready to go back in. I kind of have to rig something up. I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to see it, but way down there, this is the drain plug, or the checker hole. I have fashioned this piece of hose to go all the way down there in the hole, and then I will pour it in this little funnel. So that's how I'm going to get it in there. And then the oil, I just have to get the oil filter out, which I'll do in a second, and then we can start putting in the oil. Now, according to the manual, it said that I need 4 quarts of engine oil. This is the old engine oil, and I need 2.64 quarts of oil for the transaxle, which is the old oil's over here. Now, it's kind of hard to see. This oil kind of looks more brownish. This looks more reddish. This, again, came out of the transaxle. Now, think about it. The transaxle just has a bunch of gears spinning around. The oil has combustion happening in it, or the engine has combustion happening in it, so these definitely are different. This resembles more closely newer oil, although this wasn't too bad. So anyway, I'm a little concerned that this looks like it's more than 2.5 quarts compared to this right here. And it kind of sucks because the book mentioned taking out a speedometer gear plug and taking the transmission check level through there, but yet mine just has this drain plug, this dipstick that is never mentioned one time in the book or any manual I've found. So not sure what's going on there. So I'm really not too sure how much this takes. So I'm just going to put in 2.5 and check it with this dipstick, or put in 2 first, then check it. Alright, so the oil filter is on the passenger side of the vehicle. You kind of just have to wrap your hand up past an exhaust pipe, feel up there for it. It's really short. I mean, this is all it is, this little one. So I'm going to fill up this filter a little. Oop, spilled a little bit. That's not good. Oh boy. Well, the idea there was just to fill up the filter just a little bit. But I went way too much. So then you're going to want to just dab the gasket area there and make sure that's wet with the oil. So you have a nice seal. And I've already made sure that the other gasket came off. So I'm going to get a paper towel and try and sop that up, because I want to be able to just barely snug it down, get a good grip on it. That's embarrassing. Okay, so I have changed the oil filter. I really couldn't film that because it was just too hard underneath there, and it kind of goes in from, like on a regular, like Chevy small block engine, we'll say, the filter goes straight up. This one goes kind of like a forward, like at an angle. So that was kind of a pain, but whatever. Alright, 4 quarts in here. Just a tad more, and we're good. So that's everything. And now I'm going to attempt to set up this crazy funnel gadget thing that I got over here. It's the only way to get it down. Supposedly this transmission, according to the manual, says it takes 2.5 liters or 2.64 quarts. However, to me, what came out of it looks like much more than 2.5 quarts. So I'm going to do a little experimenting here. See what we got going on, because I don't know. That doesn't seem like enough. But I'll be back in a second. Alright, here goes nothing. Oh boy, that line is down there far. Good lord. Alright, supposedly it's in there. Except they have like the world's smallest funnel. This is gonna take frickin' forever with this funnel. Oh my god. Okay. That's 2 quarts. Doesn't look like it's overflowing yet. Alright, so I actually just put an extra about half a quart into the transaxle. Dipstick was reading like it was a little bit under to the point where it would say it's full. So I believe it's full. It's got about 2.5 in there. So I believe that's full. The dipstick is reinserted. Everything's cleaned off. I did spray the underside where everything was leaking and wet. So that's all taken care of. Oil filter cap is back on. 4 quarts of oil in the motor. Have a new Fram filter on there. Next thing I'm going to do is top off the coolant and check the brake fluid. Ooh. Alright, brake fluid is a little dark. It's definitely not the worst I've seen. Levels look okay. I don't think I'm going to change this yet, because I would like to check the actual brakes and probably bleed them. So I don't think I'm going to suck this out just yet. But that doesn't look nearly as bad as I thought it would. I'm just going to check my clutch fluid just in case. That is nice and clean. There's plenty in there. And actually, unfortunately, I thought I had is there any in there? Yeah, it's kind of low in the reservoir. It does appear to be green. I thought I had universal 50/50. I guess I don't. Come on, get in there. Oh, that's not a very good cap. I don't like that cap. Whatever. Yeah, I thought I had some of that, but it turns out I don't. I think I actually just recycled that stuff and dropped it off at AutoZone recently. Oh wow, we got a full, ew, that does not smell like windshield washer fluid. I have no clue what that is. Doesn't smell very good. Shoot, yeah, that really sucks. I really wanted to top off the coolant, so I'll have to pick some up. I know I just had some. I think I thought it was dirty or used coolant. I think I just took it to the AutoZone to get rid of it. Shoot. Okay. Well, everything is wrapped up back here, which is the important part. I don't have an I have an air filter. I just didn't put it in yet because I have to do a few things and kind of recondition this air box back here. We're gonna see if this thing starts in just a few seconds. This has had several hours to charge. So, here. All right, so we do have power. Let's see if it'll work. Yeah. Oil pressure's way high. It usually always reads like that. Oh yeah, look at that temperature. Yeah, it's been like that for a while. Oil temperature always kind of reads high on this car. Alright. Yeah, let's take a look here. Alright, so I'm coming over here just because you can definitely hear me better, but so yeah, I'm glad she started. Glad it seems to be running okay. There was no leaks. Went under the car and checked. So that's great. Next video, probably going to be addressing a few ignition components on the car, like the spark plug wires, cap and rotor. Spark plugs are really hard to get to, so I might put that off for a little bit, but so probably put the new air filter in, clean the throttle body and stuff like that. So we're gonna try and get some of the ignition and air system back in order, working order, and make the final checks and see if this thing is ready to take a trip, because I'd like to move it over to my house. That's about it for this video. I mean, just wanted to do a quick video on how to change the oil and the transaxle fluid in one of these, because you know it's kind of weird. I mean, it's not very common for a transmission to run on engine oil anymore, and so that was kind of cool. Really glad she started. I probably need a new battery too, actually. So that's pretty much it for this one. Hey, if you like this video, please make sure to give it a like. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do subscribe so you don't miss anything else like this. I have definitely a lot more videos on this car coming out, so please stay tuned and thanks for watching.